Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in. Oh! And the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song.
Wait.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast, a trade edition. The Thunder may have pulled off one of the more important decisions in its brief franchise history in its 7 years. I got Darnell Mayberry in studio to talk about it. I'm going to Charlotte later today. Darnell, how you doing?
I'm pretty good.
It looks and sounds like you got a lot to say today.
I do. It's a big trade deadline. It looked like it was going to be a dud, and then all of a sudden about 155, it hits the fan.
Man, when everything started flowing in,
it was nuts.
What
did Woj even tweeted? Good Lord.
In the middle of breaking 8 different trades at once.
Maybe more like 18.
37 players, I think it was a record, traded on the trade deadline day.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I believe last year it was 24, this year was 37, which is weird because it looked really quiet. I remember, Vegas sometimes it sends us odds in through email. I think it just sends beat writers around the league their odds.
Right.
They had over under trades 9.5 on before the trade deadline. This was 2 days before the trade deadline, and I was 9.5. That seems pretty high. And then as the trade deadline kind of progressed along, it seemed like it wasn't even going to be close to that, and then I'm pretty sure that got blown up easy, way over.
Yeah. Exciting deadline. Good to see the Thunder try to do something to improve their team. They had a situation that they had to resolve, and that's the Reggie Jackson situation.
I think we knew how bad that situation was.
Yeah.
We've talked about it all year,
right,
and how it's got progressively worse, and how the Waiters deal hurt. But I think we found out yesterday, before the trade, when Russell Westbrook talked hours before the deadline, and then after the game, how much Jackson's want for a contract, want for a starting job, want to get out of town really kind of affected that team, and he isolated himself in that locker room. I guess Perry Jones and Jeremy Lamb, who were benched and are his friends clearly, were with him. But, from the leaders in that locker room, there was clearly a divide with Reggie and everybody else.
Right.
Some of the comments, they are usually an organization that strays away from that stuff, and every single leader, star player made some kind of backhanded statement towards Jackson.
I feel like Jackson, in a lot of ways, was a scapegoat.
Yeah,
for the team.
We've talked about that too.
For the players, for the coaches, for the front office, for the fans.
A situation mishandled by both sides.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jackson has a lot of blame in the whole ordeal. But he's the 4th best player on the team, 3rd best offensive player, 4th best overall player, or was. And now that he's gone, there's no more excuses. For the most part, they're healthy, although Kevin Durant's foot is a big issue. We'll probably talk about that, but there's no more excuses.
I was laughing last night. Barry sitting next to me, and the Thunder played well last night, so there was no reason for him to be mad. But, there's a couple stretches where the Mavs start coming back, and I'm sitting there hey, there's no Reggie to yell at. There's no Reggie.
Who's the whipping boy now, Scotty?
Who you going to find? You got to find somebody. I was figuring it was probably going to end up being Dion Waiters. Eventually.
Yeah, well.
He was this new
that's
guy.
His bed. He made that bed. He's got to sleep in it now.
I know, but I'm just saying he was the new guy, but now, now he's one of the elder statesmen, right? Not really, but, there's 4 guys newer than him.
Right.
And Waiters is the kind of player that Brooks would get mad at for plays like that. So I think
he's the new Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, he is.
Which is hilarious.
Especially going into next year, because he'll be on that last year.
He's going to be trying to get buckets, which he already does, but he's going to be trying to get paid and do all that stuff Reggie just did this year. So to me, that's the unsettling part is there's no more excuses. We got to see what happens with Durant's foot. But if this team plays bad defense, who are you going to blame now? Because no one ever wants to blame Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I've talked about that. If people are taking bad shots, who are you going to blame now? because no one ever wants to blame Russell Westbrook for taking bad shots. Oh, he got a steal and made a fantastic play. It's okay. Take another bad shot, Russ.
Dion Waiters, welcome to your new role.
So, like, that to me is
you're right, though.
This team now has that expectation. I think
Good.
they would call Reggie a cancer. Like, they're classy enough to where they're not throwing him completely under the bus. Like, they made some strong statements like, hey, the guy didn't want to be here, and they were candid about that, but they're not going to go out as far to call him a cancer. But it's clear that he was sort of cancerous, yes.
Which is crazy because what was it, 8-9 months ago that he had 32, saved the season in Memphis, was crying on the court. Kevin Durant's hugging him and talking about how they're brothers. I mean, remember, Kevin Durant was like adamant about how close he and Reggie were. That relationship and pretty much all of them, besides his two close friends, really strained through this whole ordeal. Man, which I think if you truth serumed Reggie now,
you didn't have to. He put it out there on Twitter.
I know. I think
crying tears of joy.
Well, I think if you talk to him, maybe not now, maybe 2 years from now or something, he should understand, and I think will eventually understand. He could still have all the aspirations he does, but he should have handled this season a lot better. Shouldn't have gone so public with it. And if he just plays his role and plays like he did last season, he's going to get more money in this offseason, and he can let them know he doesn't want to come back. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't handle it well. And I mean, he's 23 years old.
Yeah.
His first time going through it. You know, you go from college to where it's all fun and games. And even his first, year or two here, it was kind of all fun and games. The chemistry was a lot better. The team was a lot more tight-knit. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it's not just him. I think with this team, we're seeing it. The honeymoon is over with this team. Not with the fans, but with the team. Everyone understands it's a business. Everyone is trying to do what's best for them, off the court. And sometimes that's spilling onto the court. And I just think that's really taken over a lot of mindsets on this team.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, and, not that we need to get in depth about the Harden trade, but it makes me wonder if they had kept Harden for that season, like, everyone says they should have, and then everyone says they should have signed him to a long-term deal. How would James Harden have handled it, knowing, I mean, he's better than Reggie Jackson. Everyone knows that. He's an MVP candidate this season. How he would have handled, because he would have been in the same situation as Jackson, not getting the minutes, not getting the points, not getting the shots that he wants, not getting the stardom that he wanted, while he knew what he was capable of. How would he have handled it in that last season? Would that have gotten cancerous? And then everyone still acts like James Harden should still be on the team. Imagine him still to this day, 3 years later, in a six-man role without
even in a starting role. Because I was one of the few who back then, I know you weren't on the beat, said he should have started.
Yeah.
And I stand by that to this day. Like, they started him 3 or 4 games and it didn't really work. I'm like, it's 3 or 4 games. Give it a chance. But I still think to this day he should have started. Not even coming off the bench. I don't think it would have been as successful with him. He's not going to be a 25. Like, everybody can't score 25 points.
This isn't how the world works, but I wish we could just, for the people that are so adamantly against how the Thunder handled it, I wish we could just play out the Harden situation with the Thunder.
So they could see.
So we could have figured out, okay, how would this have happened as James Harden is growing into what his star years?
Yeah, we better stop. We're good. We're going down that path.
Yeah. But anyway, you want to talk about I mean, so as we've discussed, the Thunder kind of had to trade Jackson.
Yeah.
Which we knew was coming. I actually, even up until he got traded, I thought there was a chance they'd keep him just because I didn't know that they could get a rotation player. Mm-hmm. But
they had to give up a lot.
They did. It's crazy. You want to know a part of the reason why I also think there's so much animosity in this locker room for Reggie Jackson is because of how Reggie Jackson handled it. For them to get anything for Jackson, Kendrick Perkins had to be in the deal.
Right. So
how Reggie Jackson handled himself forced the Thunder to trade a leader that's so respected by everyone in the locker room. And, the 2 stars, Durant and Westbrook, obviously love Kendrick Perkins. And he's gone now in a lot of ways because of Jackson.
Yeah. Although I think they should get over that. I think they will get over that.
I mean, that's just how it is. 2 weeks from now, Enes Kanter has like a 17-point night, and
they got a better player. Definitely not a better defensive player, but they got a better player. Than Enes Kanter.
We're talking about
more
a
upside.
23-year-old that hasn't played basketball. They basically, in some ways, got another Steven Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like a young center that's
in some ways,
very much developing. I'm not saying they're the same player, but for a 30-year-old that's aging and probably wasn't going to be here next year anyways.
Right.
So, do you like the deal? I mean, we've talked some about this, but
not on the podcast. We haven't.
No.
I don't not like the deal. Put it that way.
You know what's funny? How many people went on the ESPN trade machine over the last 5 months, sent us deals, did deals themselves, maneuvered, were on there, how this deal could work. Hey, what do you think of this deal? How about this one? The deal that ended up being made was, I guarantee 0 people in the world maneuvered that deal. Like, okay, I'm going to put Novak here, and I'm going to,
Right.
It's just funny how it works. Like, people just labor over it and think about this stuff for so long, and in the end, it's
someone on Twitter is going to give you a screenshot from, 2014, December 2014, and they're going to have that trade, I guarantee you.
I will tell you right now, you may have something like, hey, here, I had Enes Kanter here, but you did not have a 3-way between the Jazz that had Augustine and Singler and Kanter and Novak.
Because
with
most
Perkins and
people,
Jarrett here.
You know why? Because most people shoot for the stars, right? And they're like, hey, if we're gonna go for Derek Favors and Greg Monroe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got Greg Monroe and Derek Favors coming here, and you're only sending out Perk and like Lamb and Jones.
Yeah, every time I get a trade from a Thunder fan, you always look. The ESPN trade machine has like adjusted wins.
Yeah.
Every one of them always has a Thunder plus.
15.
Yeah, Thunder plus. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
They're like, who says no? It's like, well, the other team says no.
Right.
There's a reason. But
my only thing with this trade is, I like it from the standpoint that they made the best of a bad situation. They had to do something with Reggie, but at the same time, I don't think that it's a trade that's going to put them over the top. This is getting a lot of attention. It's gotten a lot of praise nationally, but I still don't think it's a trade that puts them over the top in any way. And that, to me, is why I'm still sort of lukewarm about it. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't not like it.
I don't think it hurts.
But I'm not sitting up here like, wow, the Thunder just did a great job. You know what I mean? Like, they traded the best player in the trade.
Yeah.
And that was Reggie Jackson. Now, the Reggie that we saw here is not the Reggie that's not the best. Yeah, that's not the best player. The Reggie that we saw here is not the best player.
No, I agree.
So from that standpoint, yeah, they made a great decision and got back a great set of assets. But they still traded the best player in the trade. So I can't love it, but it's not a bad trade.
Sam Presti and anyone really, us, I think just miscalculated how bad Jackson wanted out. And how this situation was going to play out. But I wonder if they knew what was going to happen before the season, or if what package they could have gotten before the season, and how much better it could have been than this.
I was hearing that they could have gotten a lot more if they traded him before the year.
Yeah, just
sort of similar to what they did with Harden.
Yeah, with Harden they got a lot of picks. Although, it hasn't come to, although McGarry, we'll see with McGarry and Adams and Abrinas. Lamb was thought to be very good. He obviously kind of fizzled. But
McGarry and Adams look good, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 21 and 22.
Yeah.
And front line. So, I guess who's going to be the backup center moving forward?
Kanter.
And Adams will start. McGarry, you think McGarry's going to get much playing time once Adams is back?
No.
Is McGarry a 4 or a 5? Or I guess he's a combo.
McGarry's a 4. He's a 4.
Yeah.
But that goes back to today's NBA. Do positions really matter as much? He can play the 4 and he can play as the lone big man out there.
They're saying Kanter can play 4 and 5. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do. In a lot of ways, him and Favors were interchangeable. He was more of the 5, but they're basically just two bigs out there. So I could see that definitely, especially next to a guy like Steven Adams.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting.
Canner hasn't shot the ball well this year, but I mean he has showed the ability that he can step out and hit the mid-range jumper.
Yeah,
So,
I was actually just going to his shooting splits on Basketball Reference. 37 of 126 from 16 feet out to 3 this year, 29%. That's not good. You're right, he has not shot it well. 18 of 50 from 10 to 16. That's not good. 13 of 41 from threes. Do you think he's going to shoot any threes on this team?
I hope not. Come on, man. Look who you asking.
No,
shout out Serge Ibaka, by the way.
I didn't say do you want him to shoot threes or should he shoot threes. I said do you think he will?
No.
He going to get a couple up. Shout out Serge Ibaka. Tell him about his game last night.
21 and 22.
Was that your favorite?
Was that it? Was that
21 and 22?
21 and 22.
The first 2020 game in Thunder history. Are you more excited about?
Bravo, Serge.
Are you more excited about the 21 and 22 or the fact that for only the second time, and I believe it's 52 games this season, he didn't take a three?
Like I said, I don't have a problem with Serge taking the three. At times, I have an issue with the way he settles for threes too frequently. I'm much more impressed with the 21 and 22 than I am the 0 threes.
I talked to Nick Collison post game.
Yep.
And I thought he was interesting about it, saying
sounded diplomatic from the quote that you used in your story.
Yeah. I said something to him like, do you think it would be helpful if he crashes the glass more and maybe cuts out the threes? And he's like, I see what you're getting at, but in this offense, especially when the thing people need to understand last night, there was no centers. Like Serge was the center, he was rolling more. He had to, go to the glass more. He said in some sets it's a lot better for us if he is the spacer, the 4-man. But he said he thought Serge, who admitted, I talked to Serge post game too, and he said playing with Nick it kind of felt throwback, because Nick can be the spacing big when he can crash. But anyways, Nick said he thought Serge was had some fun doing it and kind of realized, it can be, threes are fun, and we all know Serge loves threes, but it can also be fun rolling, going to the glass, playing like his old self, shooting the 16-footer. So, maybe it's a deal where, remember, this is the first game after the All-Star break, and I really do think the All-Star break for a lot of guys, especially for a guy that doesn't make the All-Star team that thought he was going to this season, that probably thought, hey, I'm implementing this three-point shot. I'm going to be a star now. I'm going to, three-point contest and All-Star game. Maybe he sat back for 6-7 days with this broken nose and said, maybe I should crash the glass more, shoot the mid-range more.
I'm not sold.
I'm not either, and I think he is going to shoot threes, and I think there will be games where people will flood my mentions with, he's soft.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see how this second half goes for Serge Ibaka. He looked re-energized last night.
The one thing that I will say, and, I read that in your story, and some people on Twitter were talking about, well, he's playing the 5. When he's the 4, it's different. I think that's a little bit of a cop-out. Just because you're the 4 and it can help stretch the floor doesn't mean you have to live there. But there are ways to still get down there and bang, and it still makes your team much more of a threat when you do it. If you can have Steven Adams, I know he's hurt right now, but just when healthy, Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka dominating the glass like the Thunder did last night, that makes them a better, more dangerous team when they're bullying opponents down low than with Serge outside shooting threes. The teams that I thought about when I read your story, Memphis, San Antonio, the Lakers circa 2010, 2009, Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum. Now, Pau Gasol could step out and shoot, but they were at their best when they were both those towers, those two bigs, killing you inside, dominating the glass, getting putbacks, blocking shots, things like that. Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, they do the same thing. Now, Marc Gasol can step out and shoot it and does too, but when they're at their best, they're bullying you on the inside. Tiago Splitter, Tim Duncan. You can have a 4 and 5 dominate the inside without one of them having to step out and space the floor and all that. With this team, it's a little different. You got Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. I get that. But if you got Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams dominating the paint, that to me is a better long-term strategy than having one of those guys, Serge, step out and be a three-point shooter.
Yeah, I think one of the issues, and I mean, obviously, this is probably a debate we have on every game or every podcast, but they have so few good shooters that you want him. He's your third best shooter. You want him to take a lot of your threes because he's gonna actually make them. Whereas a lot of your guards, Westbrook shooting 28% this year.
Right.
Jackson was shooting in the 20s. Maybe
Deion
this
Waiters doesn't look like a very good 3-point shooter.
No, I mean a lot of the guys you need to be the spacers aren't spacers. Andre Robertson. So Serge kind of had to be in that role because for the offense they run where they want space for their guys. They need 3-point shooters. Maybe this trade helps Serge. You get a guy like Kyle Singler in here, good 3-point shooter. DJ Augustine, a lot better 3-point shooter than Reggie Jackson. So maybe this will allow Serge to play a little bit more in the paint, rolling in that mid-range game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I mean, I like I said, I'm super interested to see how the second half goes for him. I think if he can just mix and match, because I mean he's not going to stop shooting threes, and I don't think we should just say he should. But if he cuts it a little bit down and does this, does everything a little bit more, and just straight up plays with more energy, because last night he played with more energy than we've seen in the first half, most of the first.
There was one possession late, not really late in the game, but second half. Westbrook gets the board and pushes it on the break, and Ibaka's trailing. And I was curious to see what Ibaka did. I wanted to see if he was going to stop at the 3-point line, pull up like he always does, and start to set his feet at the 3-point line and wait for a pass, or if he was going to go to the rim. Sure enough, he went to the rim, got an offensive rebound, got a putback. Those are the things that I like to see. Those are the things that, to me, the percentages don't show. If you're standing out there and you pull up short and you stop at the 3-point line and you don't get it, well, all of that true shooting percentage and the effective field or the field goal percentage comparisons, that stuff's not reflected.
Just because you don't touch the ball.
You don't touch the ball, and he did actually touch the ball that time because he went to the rim, he got the offensive rebound, and he got a putback. So to me, that's what I like to see Serge doing, and that was a sign that this night's different. This night he focused on being a dominant low post guy.
And when you say low post, I mean he didn't post up once last night.
That's not just that's
I
not
know
all
what
low
you're
post
saying.
is.
I'm just
I
saying,
hate that. That's starting to drive me crazy.
Yeah, I know.
People think they hear low post and they think back to the basket score. That's not what I'm saying.
I think we talked about the All-Star break being so, it was going to be beneficial for Durant for rest, and we can talk about if that really was in a second. But I think for Serge Ibaka, that's the first time he's had an extended break without an injury. You know what I'm saying? Rest your body and not have it healing itself in a long time. He's played every game this season. We talked about he was hurt in preseason. Played FIBA. Was hurt in the playoffs last year, but played through it. Maybe he's rejuvenated. I mean, it's one game. It's it's so tough. He may shoot 10 threes next game and go one of.
I'm not sold.
I'm not. I mean, you can't be sold on one game. I'm just saying, but it was a good sign.
Yeah.
But we see all this, and now he's gonna have to learn. He's probably gonna be starting next to Enes Kanter tomorrow, and he's never played with Enes Kanter.
Yeah, I mean, they got some stuff to figure out. They got
time, though, because not only does the trade deadline yesterday, especially if the Thunder stay healthy, which, like I said, this all goes back to if Durant can stay on the court, but the Suns got worse. They traded their 2-point guards, Isaiah Thomas and Goran Dragic. They got Brandon Knight back, who's good, but you would assume they're going to be a worse team figuring themselves out in the second half. The Thunder are pretty comfortable. They're tied in 8th right now, but it seems playoff positioning-wise, they seem to be pretty comfortable. I don't think they're getting up to 7. Who knows? But they have time. I think they have some time to try some things and figure themselves out over the last 2 months. Maybe rest Durant on some back-to-backs. Like who they got? They got Charlotte. Who do they have Sunday? Denver. Maybe rest Durant either, on Sunday against Denver at home. You could probably win that game.
I think they need to sit him.
How long? The problem is
good word. Until.
Yeah.
I told you this before. I'm not being reactionary. I told you that you guys this before the break. I said I thought he should have set the last 4 games going into the All-Star break. I thought he should have set the All-Star break. That would have given him 2 weeks to recover. He's clearly not right. And I've got major concerns that he's not going to be right. and it's only going to get worse going into the playoffs. You need him at his best.
You need him to play 43 minutes at night in the playoffs.
You're in the playoff picture now. Russell Westbrook is playing out of his mind, okay? Best basketball of his career, including last year's playoffs. He can carry this team and get you enough victories to stay at the 8th seed.
But
Kevin Durant needs to be healthy.
I agree, but, I mean, with these new guys, you need to gel quickly with them and with
It
Durant.
won't matter if Kevin Durant's not healthy.
Might not matter if you play the Warriors, though, and you're not gelled. But you're right. I mean, it's tough. It's strange with him, though, because
it doesn't look like just soreness. I'm just saying that. I'm just going to say that. It doesn't look like just soreness. Soreness, I'm not gonna sit up here and play doctor, but
well, the thing to me that makes me believe like maybe it's like is kind of like severe soreness is we saw it in the Memphis game and we saw it last night. He comes into the game looking fine, not limping, hits his first 3 shots. Last night was really good at the start in Memphis. Had a like pretty powerful dunk last night. Like 0 signs of limping throughout the first half. And then late third quarter-ish, you're like starting to see, hey, he's kind of limping. And then the fourth quarter goes and like he's severely limping.
Right.
It went from noticeable to like, oh, this is an issue.
Get him off the court.
To where, remember, he like right in front of us, was Brooks trying to call a play for him or something?
Mm-hmm.
He like waved him off, and we don't, like you said, we don't know the exact context, but I mean, he said, I can't move.
Right.
So to me, I mean, maybe since he looked so good early in games, like it can't. If it's like a constant injury, wouldn't it hurt all the time? You know what I mean? Like, how could he start the game? I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. How do we know it doesn't? You know, how do we know it doesn't hurt him all the time?
Well, wouldn't he be limp? I'm just saying, wouldn't he? Like, why is his limp only coming late after he's played on it for a while?
I don't know.
And
I don't know. You know what? I saw something. One of his friends, his good friend Charlie Bell, came and like right toward the end of the bench, you know, where the players exit, there's a rail, and there's a seat right in front of that rail, and Charlie was sitting in that seat with a direct view of Kevin. You know, Charlie, who's over there with his mom, a couple of other friends, Tony, his brother. They normally sit courtside. He made his way to this seat, which I've never seen this before, and he just had a direct view of Kevin on the bench, and he was shouting some words of like encouragement, and you know, he had this concerned look on his face, like, "Come on, Kev, you know, you gonna be all right." I know, you know, and it looked to me like the people in his inner circle know that he's dealing with something more than I think we know. I'm not saying it's more, you know, I just think they know that he's dealing with an issue right now, and it's bothering him.
Scott Brooks came out last night, or no, he's come out before, and the Sam Presti last night and came out and said they're basically telling us it's he's not at risk. It's not an injury. It's just typical natural soreness after you have a surgery on something. And, you know, maybe we're naive a little bit, but, like, those two, especially Presti, don't seem like the type that would just bull-face lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they are,
ways, but they're not
Presti admitted last night that they might have to take a different route. You know, he said as much. So it's clearly something that they're continuing to monitor, rightfully so, and I think that they are starting to figure out that they might have to take a different course of action, and it might include sitting him in some games. So I got major concerns about it. I think that he could be doing more damage. They say he's not at risk, but I think he could be doing more damage. And even if he's not, the thing's not going to get better if he keeps playing on it. He's not going to be at his best continuing to play on it. So we'll see.
We will see. I think there is suddenly, more than any other time this season, after the trade, they seem a little freed from the trade. They're a season high, 4 games over 500. They've won, I believe, 4 in a row in 7 of 8, something like that.
6 or 7.
It's understandably as optimistic a point as the Thunder has had in this crazy season. And there's just this lingering worry that regardless of how good they look, how this new players mesh, if we get a press release, or if we hear Durant, they're shutting him down, that could be, that just season's over, basically. I mean, as far as championship hopes go. I still think they can make the playoffs with a Russell Westbrook-led team, but obviously you're not getting out of the West.
I think the guy needs to sit. I don't know how else I can say it. How many other times I can say it? I think he needs to sit.
But the thing is, I mean, he has sat a lot, and it doesn't, and then he comes back, and then it's something else.
It's an issue. They're not going anywhere if he's not healthy. So.
Yeah. Anyway, that is like, that's obviously the doomsday scenario.
Yeah. It just got real depressing in here.
Yeah, right. But let's go back to topics that won't matter if the Durant thing
exactly
goes down.
No, I had a lot of thoughts on this trade, obviously. But I think I told you this last night before the game. I thought that they got more talent. I think that they improved their overall talent level, but I think they're a potentially worse team. And a lot of that has to do with Reggie Jackson. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Reggie, to me, was that third guy. This will now force the Thunder to play a better brand of ball. All that two-man, your turn, my turn stuff, that won't produce a championship now because the Thunder no longer has that dynamic third scorer. They had it in Harden. They had it in Reggie Jackson. Ibaka's not that guy. Waiters hasn't done anything to lead us to believe he's that guy. And like I said before, Jackson was that third threat. The defense has had no answer for him. And without him, the Thunder, as I said before, wouldn't be a title contender this season. I think they can mature and evolve and turn into that as time goes on. But the only way I see them getting it done this year is by everyone buying in, committing the defense first, and then trusting the pass offensively from here out. If they don't, to me, it'll be a worse team despite having more overall talent because they no longer have that third guy to really bail them out when that your turn, my turn stuff is going on in the playoffs. Does that make sense?
Yes, in some ways, but I think I really like the DJ Augustine pickup. Maybe I'm
You're crazy.
Maybe
you are crazy.
I tweeted it yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
A lot of people agreed with me. You do not agree with me.
Okay.
I said
Explain
Reggie
your
Jackson
point.
is the better player.
Yep.
Anyone that knows basketball knows Reggie Jackson's a better player.
Right.
But I think DJ Augustine is a better fit for this team, especially because we're talking about the Reggie Jackson that played for the Thunder this season. That if you look at his stats, minutes, numbers, everything over the past 2 months, not good. He was trying to get his own. He wasn't playing good defense. He was very spotty with his energy. DJ Augustine's going to come in. I think he's really going to like this fit. I talked to Anthony Morrow last night, who knows DJ Augustine very well. And Anthony Morrow compared DJ Augustine to himself, a guy that's floated around the league, hasn't really found a home, but was ready for an opportunity. Like Anthony Morrow was saying, he thinks DJ Augustine's going to embrace it like he has embraced it. And he's a pretty nice facilitator. Played with Durant at Texas, obviously. What's Reggie Jackson's career high in assists? I believe it's 10.
I don't know.
I believe it's 10.
Yeah.
DJ Augustine has an 11-assist game, a 12-assist game, and a 13-assist game in the last 20 days. In the last 20 days.
DJ Augustine also hadn't played with a Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. He's not going to have the ball in his hands enough to have an 11, a 12, or 13 assist game.
I agree with that too, but Reggie Jackson had plenty of time. He played without.
He had the ball in his hand less and less and less this season.
But remember, at the beginning of the season, he played without Russ
and he was playing
Durant.
with Lance Thomas and Sebastian Telfair. Come on.
And then last year he played, obviously, an extended stretch where he was the starting point guard with Kevin Durant on the court. We've seen Russ get huge assist numbers. I'm not trying to bang on Reggie Jackson. I'm just saying right now, you should agree with me that DJ Augustine is more of a pass-first facilitator than Reggie Jackson.
I like that DJ Augustine can shoot, and that's about all I think about with DJ Augustine.
I think you're underrating his.
He's not about to step on this team. First of all, he's only going to play about 10 to 15 minutes a game. Well, maybe 15 minutes a game. 15
over under time.
Here we go. Let's start him up again. We got four more players.
DJ Augustine's the rest of the season through the playoffs, over under 18.5 minutes per
Under.
game. I'm going over. I think he'll play 22-ish.
I'm going under.
I think he's going to fit nice.
Scott Brooks don't like small guards, man.
Scott Brooks loves tenacious guards. That's why he tried to find a way to get Ish Smith in the game. Were you in Scott Brooks' press conference last night?
No.
You know what he didn't kind of like about Reggie Jackson? That Reggie Jackson kind of had an entitled mentality.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You scored 32 in the playoffs and saved the season. I'd probably feel entitled too.
We've talked about the mishandling from all sides, including Scott Brooks. But I'm just telling you right now, you know how Scott Brooks is. He likes a guy that's like, that fought his way and is tough and that type of thing. I'm not saying Reggie Jackson's not that, but I just mean he came in and especially this season with his comments felt like, hey, I should be a starter, this and that. That's not the type of stuff that Brooks likes. Brooks likes players that, like him, had to scrap themselves into the league. Last night, I said, thoughts on your new players, and he immediately started talking about DJ Augustine.
I'd be surprised if he gets.
He said, I love his journey.
What are you saying? 20 minutes for him?
I said 22-ish.
Okay, that's a lot.
It'll go down in the playoffs because all rotation players go down in the playoffs. But don't be surprised.
Yeah, he's going to get 22-ish because Kevin Durant's not going to play for another 15 games down the stretch.
15, huh? There's only 28 left.
Yeah. It might be how
over-under missed Kevin
that
games
might be
for
how
Kevin
many,
Durant.
That might be how many it takes.
Over-under missed games for Kevin Durant, 8.5 the rest of the season. There's 28 left.
I'm gonna go over.
Woo!
I'm taking 10.
Woo!
I'm taking 10. They gotta sit him. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, DJ Augustine's a good player. I like him. I like that he can shoot. He is scrappy. He can't defend.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like, the defense is not a strength, obviously, but not trying to bang on RJ, but it wasn't his strength either.
Yeah.
The rest of the trade. Steve Novak, I think me and you both agree he's not going to play.
You know what? I feel like the Thunder is about 3 years too late on Novak.
Yeah, he would have been nice when he was what team? I believe it was the.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that because you know what I wanted to see 3 years ago?
Steve Novak.
The Thunder go after Steve Novak.
Well, they should have got him about 5 years ago. He had his real good year was I say good year. He's never averaged more than 8.8 points. But
he had a good year in New York, though.
2 good years.
He was doing the discount double check all season.
He shot 47% from 3. Let me see how.
Maybe we can get him to bring the discount double check back, or is that played?
Okay, these are 2 straight very good years in New York as just a straight up sharpshooter. It remembers the years that the Knicks.
They went to the play, like
51
games or whatever.
I think they lost to the Heat.
Yeah.
And LeBron, but he went 133 of 282 from 3 one year, which is fantastic, 47%. And then the next year he goes 42%, 149 of 351. Those are 2 real good seasons. But I mean, you look at it right now for the Utah Jazz, who aren't good. He was averaging 5 minutes a game. He's only played 22. He's not playing for Utah. He's not playing here.
Yeah, but I mean they're in a rebuilding situation.
Yeah.
I wonder how much it was just, hey, we got to play these young guys. We're not really worried about trying to get him minutes.
But hey, guess what? Ish Smith's gone. Grant Jarrett's gone.
Yeah.
Some 2 players, when Steven Adams is back, 2 players got to be inactive. Who are your guesses? I'm guessing Steve Novak, and I'm guessing Jeremy Lamb.
That's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
I think Mitch might be.
I don't think he'll be inactive. I think he's earned himself a jersey on game time.
If Jeremy Lamb goes to the inactive list, they should have traded him. Like, we all thought he was going to be traded anyway, and if he's inactive, you got to trade him.
But he can't anymore.
Well, right now,
but if
right now you got to play Mitch because you're down Steven Adams, so you may not have to play him.
Okay, let's say
Canner's coming in.
That guy had a 19-10 and a 17-10 last week.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me if this entire roster's healthy 2 weeks from now, and you got a game and you're Scott Brooks, you're gonna put Jeremy Lamb on the active list and Mitch McGary on the inactive list? Regardless of position.
I don't know what he's going to do. I'm just saying, if Jeremy Lamb goes to the inactive list, they should have traded him.
Who would you put on the inactive list? Who should be on the inactive list? I think we both agree Steve Novak, probably.
Steve Novak.
He was basically inactive.
I feel like I'm missing someone.
No, I mean Perry Jones is an option.
Kyle Singler?
No, I think Kyle Singler is going to play. I
don't think Kyle Singler is going to play.
I know you're higher.
I thought they should have drafted Kyle Singler. Don't get me wrong. I thought they would and should have drafted.
I like your little, tap on your own back yesterday. Throwback Thursday.
It was great that it was Thursday too. Singler. It was great that it was Thursday. You know what's also funny? I did not too long ago. I did like 13 guys that the Thunder could target in trades. I think they had like an exception or something. I was like, hey, here are 13 guys that could fit. 3 of those guys are now on this team. That's crazy. Dion Waiters, Steve Novak, and Enes Kanter.
All praise Mayberry. Congrats.
Thanks.
You're impressive. You should.
What I say last night, I don't know when the last time I've been wrong is. I don't know when the last time I was wrong about anything.
That's
Serge Ibaka comes out, doesn't take a 3, 21-22. The Thunder wins in a rout.
Congrats.
Yeah. Russell Westbrook comes out second quarter on, just starts being a facilitator. Looks like the best point guard in the league. He stops taking all those shots, starts getting his teammates involved. Looks like the best point guard in the league.
Pretty much all year. I mean, he's had a couple bad stretches, and he will have bad stretches going forward. But Russell Westbrook has played great.
Yeah.
All season. Don't act like you said something and suddenly he's like, yeah, I read that Darnell story about how I should facilitate more.
That's the last guy who's going to read something and
Oh,
he'll do the opposite of what the media says.
Yesterday. He's been pretty good with the media lately.
No, but I mean, here's the thing about Singler. I like him. I liked him coming out of Duke. Plays hard. He's nothing special, but he plays hard. He brings that blue collar lunch pail mentality.
Aren't you the one that yesterday just said he might be one of their best two-way players? Which I
I did not say that. I thought about saying it, and I did not say it. And I'm a little mad that you just outed me on the podcast for even thinking
I'm saying you're the one that was talking about you've never been wrong.
I haven't said it. I have not said it, so I cannot be wrong about something that I did not say.
First of all, he is, if we're just looking at their wing players, which obviously where his minutes are going to come as a bench wing.
Check this out, Slater.
He's a better two-way player than Anthony Morrow. You know, he's a more willing defender than Dion Waiters. He can shoot it a little bit. He might find a role.
I don't think he'll play.
Like, what do you
when everyone's
mean
healthy,
by
the second
he will
unit
not
is
play?
Augustine, Waiters, Morrow, Collison, and Kanter. Okay? That's a 10-man rotation. Yeah. And that's not even including McGarry, which is why I think he could be on the inactive list with Steve Novak.
Okay, then who's the third team that you got McGarry?
I think Singler could steal minutes when Collison isn't needed. You know, we've seen him kind of his minutes go down this year.
Against the Warriors where you might need a guy to guard Klay Thompson for some minutes but not an Andre Robertson.
Yeah.
Maybe you have Singler guard Klay Thompson, but also give you a shooter on the other end. Where are you on Andre Robertson? Will he be starting in 2 weeks? Because there's a guy. I
think I'm on record on the last podcast and saying that I don't know why they're starting the guy in the first place if it's going to be a hindrance in the playoffs.
Do you think now that they have this kind of revamped roster, retooled roster, they can maneuver it around and maybe have a Waiters start, a Morrow start, and then that'd free up more minutes.
We've never seen it before in the Scott Brooks era. I don't understand why we think we'd see it now. In order for him to replace a guy in that starting lineup, they've had to trade a guy.
4 players come in a trade.
Yeah, but they've had to trade a guy who was starting in order for him to replace a guy who was starting. So I don't see it. And they like it. I mean, like, it's not even that it's that bad right now. They like it.
Yeah.
The numbers are good. It's just not going to work in the postseason. We've seen that time and time again. I don't care what the regular season numbers show. Like I've made the point in print. The starting lineup is a productive unit from a number standpoint. But in the postseason, I don't think it's going to work because we've seen it and its flaws.
I'm viewing everything from like a Warriors prism because I'm like,
you're 100% sold that they're playing the Warriors.
I wouldn't say 100% sold, but it seems very, very likely. So right. I'm just looking at it like at that perspective. that's why I think, hey, the Perk trade's not as bad as some people think because Perkins wasn't really going to be necessary in the Warrior series.
Call them out. Mike Sherman, Barry Trammell, Jenny Carlson.
You can call them out for me as you just did. And then Andre Robertson, it's weird because in one way you think, hey, he'll really matter in the Warrior series because he's a two-guard that specializes in guard and perimeter scores, and the Warriors have one of the top two, I think the second best two-guard in the NBA, Klay Thompson. You'd argue otherwise. You'd say one. But so you think, hey, he's very useful in that series. But on the other end, you say, can you really, in a series that has so much offensive talent and is going to have so much scoring, can you afford to have Andre Robertson on the floor?
I think he'd help against Klay Thompson.
Yeah, but I remember a game against the Warriors early
last
month. Klay lit him up early, and then he started. But he played like 8 minutes.
That's the league that we.
So if Klay Thompson's going
to beat great offense is going to beat great defense.
So my point is, in a series, if he's going to burn whoever, can you have Robertson on the floor? And then on the other end, he's hurting you on offense. Where a series where it's gonna be 115, 110.
That doesn't mean you don't try. You don't just wave the white flag before going out there and saying, he's gonna get 40 anyway, so we might as well not even try. No, you got to go out there and actually try to stop him.
Obviously, I'm just saying.
As opposed to putting Waiters or Morrow out there and it's like, oh well, now shit, we know he's gonna get 40.
Yeah, but maybe that's where my boy Kyle Singler comes in.
Kyle Singler ain't going to play.
All right.
We got to go. There's a lot more to talk about, but we got to do it next week because Thunder's about to practice. I got a chat that I'm 6 minutes late for, so we got to go.
All right. It was good talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to Charlotte.
Enjoy Charlotte.
When can we talk next week?
They play Sunday.
And
so Monday's available.
It is, but that seems pretty close to this one. Maybe we
might have some updates on Durant by then. 2 games will have been played. Maybe he doesn't play either one of them.
I'm worried this is going to be outdated in a second because we may go to practice today and they may say, hey, we're going to sit him for a couple games.
Yeah, anything can happen. That's why we got to get to practice. We got to get out of here.
Wednesday maybe on the podcast. We'll talk to you guys later.
Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.